Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am Brian. You are Chords and Notes Nation, and this is another full album review. It's been a long time coming. I started listening to individual tracks off of this album months ago. Excuse me, and I think I only got through three, and I have those up as first listen reactions as well. And today I decided to deviate from my typical path of listening to individual songs and reacting to them, and then going back and listening to the album as a whole. The reason I usually do that is, especially with music or bands that I'm being exposed to for the first time, I like to isolate and listen to the individual tracks, and then go back. In those tracks, I like to look into it deeper for the individual track. What is it that they're saying? What sort of impression is it leaving me with? That sort of thing. Just kind of get down to the nitty gritty. And then when it comes to the entire album, listen to it from beginning to end and get the overall picture that way. And I like to do it that way. It seems to be working just fine for me. um, and so, anyways, I was listening to Haggard, their fourth studio album, released in August of 2008, and Tales of Ithiria was the name of the album. So today I decided to just go ahead and listen to the whole thing and get it on like that, because I have a sneeze. Woo! Excuse me. As I was listening to the individual tracks, it just wasn't doing anything for me, and it was hard for me to imagine pushing myself through a couple more tracks just to stay with form. And so I deviated from it and did this, and boy, am I glad that I did. This is one of those bands that their artistic creation must be listened to as a whole. This album. I haven't heard their other albums, but I will. So a little bit of background. They're from Germany. They started in 1989. They kind of started out as a death metal band, but then they changed their sounds. I'm going to tell you what I heard in this album. I heard in this album a really excellent balance, and that was essential for this album to be successful. A balance of sounds, because there was so much. There were death metal growls, there was spoken word, there were classical singers, there was obviously the standard rock slash metal musical instruments, drum, bass, guitars, some synthesizers. However, there was a symphony involved as well, and there was so much put into this 42 minutes and a few seconds long album that I could easily see that if they went over the top in any one direction musically, it would have pulled the rug out from underneath this album, and it would have fallen flat on its face. However, they didn't do that, in my opinion. They told a story. It's a fictional story. I won't get into the story too much, but it is a deviation from a couple of their other albums where they focus on historical figures. So Galileo, Nostradamus, that sort of thing. Here, it's set in a medieval time period, but it's a fictional tale. I didn't read through all the lyrics, so that's why I'm not going to be able to tell you too much about the story. But it has something to do with good and evil and fighting and wars and all that sort of stuff. So it's kind of the fantasy genre. But it's not... A lot of the fantasy music, the Dungeons and Dragons type subject matter, usually comes along with speed metal. And this is what I really loved about Haggard. It was well paced. Those of you who have watched and listened to my reactions in the past, or my other ones, you'll understand that one of the things that is a turnoff when it comes to speed metal for me is the constant use of double bass on the drums, the double bass drums. It underscores the music and sets the pace for that style of music. However, it becomes ineffective as a rhythmic dynamic piece because it's just overdone. Here they chose the appropriate parts where they needed it to be to underscore the music. Same thing with the death growls. I'm not a big death growl fan. I can tolerate it in small doses, and they did that here. So that was really nice. There were a couple of things here that surprised me and met my expectations, and I really like that. I think the production of this album was really well done. There wasn't, from what I could tell, because there was a lot of sound. There were, I was reading there was one point, I don't know if it was in this album or a previous album, they had actually had 21 musicians in the band. And those would be the ones that are, singing and doing the symphonic instruments. And there was plenty of piano, too, I must say. Which sounded like an authentic piano and not a synthesized piano, which was really, really nice. I believe they let in, and they definitely outroed with that, so it was really nice. Did they outro? I could be wrong on that. I don't remember now. Anyways, but it was appropriate. It was there when it needed to be, just like everything else. I would recommend this album for anyone just to explore. I'm not going to be rah-rah, you gotta listen to this band, this is the greatest thing ever. But they did it really well, because you know what? A lot of people, a lot of bands, a lot of groups have done this type of music and sound before. And this is just another band to do this. However, this seems to be their niche. This is something that it sounds like that they're really good at doing. Another band that this reminds me of is Ithiria, out of Norway, I believe. Could be Sweden. Probably Sweden. But Ithiria is sort of a different beast. However, they do very similar work that way. And I like that. I like Ithiria. Although I need to explore them more because I have not listened to their full catalog of music. I think, anyways, I'm not going to talk about Ithiria. So Haggard, Tales of Ithiria. 2 thumbs up for me. Definitely thank you for those of you who had suggested this listen. And I appreciate all of the subscriptions. I appreciate all of the comments. You guys are very kind and understanding. And my God, there is the total amount of likes that my channel has gotten versus dislikes is wonderful. And I think I'm at somewhere around a 96% like ratio. And the reason it's not higher is because there were a lot of people that did not like my assessment of Sound of Silence by Disturbed. But you know what? I'm sorry that disturbed them. Honest, raw, unedited, as always, reactions and more. Have yourself a wonderful day, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for taking the time to watch. Thank you for taking the time to subscribe. And please check out the other videos that I have posted on my channel.